Hi, teacher. Chapter 1. A warning to beginners. In England, everything is different. You must understand that when people say England, they sometimes mean Great Britain, England, Scotland, and Wales. Sometimes the United Kingdom, England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. Sometimes the British Isles, England, Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland, and the Republic of Ireland, but never just England. On Sundays in Europe, the poorest person wears his best clothes and the life of the country becomes happy, bright, and colorful. On Sunday in England, the richest people wear their oldest clothes and the country becomes dark and sad. In Europe, nobody talks about the weather. In England, you have to say, nice day, isn't it? About 200 times every day, or people think you are a bit boring. In Europe, you get Sunday newspapers on Monday. In England, a strange country, you get Sunday newspapers on Sunday. On a European bus, the driver uses the bell if he wants to drive on past a bus stop without stopping. In England, you use the bell when you want the bus to stop. In Europe, people like their cats, but in England, they love their cats more than their family. In Europe, people eat good food. In England, people think that good manners at the table are more important than the food you get to eat. The English eat bad food, but they say it tastes good. In Europe, important people speak slowly and clearly. In England, they learn to speak slowly and quietly, so you cannot understand them. In Europe, clever people show that they are clever by talking about Aristotle, Horace, and Montaigne. In England, only stupid people try to show how clever they are. The only people who talks about Latin and Greek writers are those who have not read them. In Europe, almost every country, big or small, fight wars to show they are the best. The English fight wars against those people who think they are the best. The English already know which country is really the best. Europeans cry and quietly get angry. Instead of this, the English just laugh quietly at their problems. In Europe, people are either honest, which you are they lie to you. In England, people almost never lie, but they are almost never quite honest with your other. Many Europeans think that life is a game. The English thinks cricket is a game. Chapter 2. Introducing people. This part of the book tells you how to introduce people to other people. Most importantly, when you introduce strangers, do not say their name so that the other person is able to hear it. Usually, this is not a problem because nobody can understand your accent. If somebody introduces you to a stranger, there are two important rules to follow. 1. If he puts out his hand to shake yours, do not take it. Smile and wait. When he stops trying to shake your hand, try to shake his. Repeat this game all afternoon or evening. Quite possibly, will be the most amusing part of your afternoon or evening. 2. The introductions are finished and your new friends ask if you are well. How do you do? But do not forget, he does not really want to know. To him, it does not matter if you are well or if you are dying of a terrible illness. Do not answer. Your conversation will be like this. He, how do you do? You, quite good health, not sleeping very well. left foot hurts a bit, one or two stomach problems. A conversation like this is un-English and unforgivable. When you meet somebody, never say, pleasant to meet you. English people think this is very rude. And one other thing, do not call foreign lawyers, teachers, doctors, dentists, or shopkeepers doctor. Everybody knows that the little word doctor means that you are a Central European. It is not a good thing to be a Central European in England, so you do not want people to remember. Chapter 3. The weather. This is the most important subject in the land. In Europe, people say, he is the type of person who talks about the weather, to show that somebody is very boring. In England, the weather is always an interesting, exciting subject and you must be good at talking about it. Chapter 4. Examples for conversation. For good weather. Nice day, isn't it? Isn't it beautiful? The sun. Isn't it wonderful? Yes, wonderful, isn't it? It's so nice and hot. I think it's so nice when it's hot, isn't it? I really love it, don't you? For bad weather. Terrible day, isn't it? Isn't it pleasant? The rain. I don't like the rain. Just think, I day like is in July. It rains in the morning, then a bit of sun and the rain, rain, rain all day. I remember the same July day in 1936. Yes, I remember too. Or was it 1928? Yes, it was. Or in 1939? Yes, that's right. Now look at the last few sentences of this conversation. You can see a very important rule. You must always agree with other people when you talk about the weather. If it is raining and snowing and the wind is knocking down trees, and someone says, nice day, isn't it? Answer immediately. Isn't it wonderful? Learn this conversation by heart. You can use then again and again. If you repeat this conversation every day for the rest of your life, it is possible that people will think you are clever, polite, and amusing. Listen to the weather reports on the radio, and you will hear different weather reports for different people. There is always a different report from farmers. For example, you hear tomorrow it will be cloudy and cold. There will be a lot of rain. Then immediately after this, you hear weather report for farmers. It will be bright and warm, and there will be a lot of sunshine. Farmers do important work for the country, so they need better weather using. Often the radio tells you that it is a nice day, but then you look outside and see that it's raining or snowing. Sometimes the radio say it is a rainy day and you see that the sun is shining bright. This is not because the weather people have made a mistake. It is because they have reported the bright weather as they want it to be, but then some troublesome weather from another part of the world mob is in across Britain and change the weather picture. If British weather has to meet with foreign weather, things are not looking very good. Chapter 5. So, not quite saying what you mean. Foreigners have souls, the English do not have souls. In Europe, you find many people who look sad. This is soul. The worst kind of soul belongs to the Slav people. The Slavs are usually very deep thinkers. They say things like this, sometimes I'm so happy and sometimes I am so sad. Can you explain why? You cannot explain. Do not try. Or purpose to say, I want to be in some other place, not here. Do not say, I'd like you to be in some other place too. All this is very deep. It is soul, just soul. But the English have no soul. Instead, they say less than they mean. For example, if a European boy wants to tell a girl that he loves her, he goes down on his knees and tells her she is the sweetest, most beautiful, and wonderful person in the world. She has something in her, something special, and he cannot live one more minute without her. Sometimes, to make all this quite clear, he shoots himself. This happens every day in European countries where people have soul. In England, the boy puts his hands on the girl's shoulder and says quietly, You're all right, you know? If he really loves her, he says, I really quite like you. In fact, if he wants to marry a girl, he says, I say, Will you? If he wants to sleep with her, I say, Chapter 6 Tea. Tea was once a good drink. With lemon and sugar, it tastes very pleasant. But then the British decided to put cold milk and no sugar into it. They made it colorless and tasteless. In the hands of the English, tea became an unpleasant drink like dirty water, but they still call it tea. Tea is the most important drink in Great Britain and Ireland. You must never say, I don't need a cup of tea, or people will think that you are very strange and very foreign. In an English home, you get a cup of tea at 5 o'clock in the morning when you are still trying to sleep. If your friends bring you a cup of tea and you wake from your sweetest morning sleep, you must not say, I think you are the most unkind to wake me up and I like to shut you. You must smile your best 5 o'clock smile and say, Thank you so much. I do love a cup of tea at this time of the morning. When your friend leaves the room, you can throw the tea down the toilet. Then you have tea for breakfast. You have tea at 11 o'clock in the morning. Then after lunch, then you have tea at tea time about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Then after supper, and again at 11 o'clock at night. You must drink more cups of tea if the water is hot. If it is cold, if you are tired, if anybody thinks you are tired, if you are afraid before you go out, if you are out, if you have just returned home, if you want a cup, if you don't not want a cup, if you have not had a cup for some time, if you have just had a cup. You must not follow my example. I sleep at 5 o'clock in the morning. I have coffee for breakfast. I drink black coffee again and again during the day. I drink strained and unusual teas with no milk at the tea time. I have these funny foreign ways, and my poor wife, who was once a good English woman, now how seem to. I'm sorry to say. Chapter 7 Sex. European men and women have sex lives. English men and women have hot water bottles. Chapter 8 The Language. When I arrived in England, I thought that I knew English. After I'd been here an hour, I realized I did not understand one word. In my first week, I learned a little of the language, but after 7 years, I knew that I could never use it really well. This is sad, but nobody speaks English perfectly. Remember that those 500 words the ordinary Englishman use are not all the words in the language. You can learn another 500 and another 5,000 and another 50,000 words after that, and you will still find another 50,000 you have never heard of. Nobody has heard of them. If you live in England for a long time, you will be very surprised to find that the word nice is not the only adjective in the English language. For the first 3 years, you do not need to learn or use any another adjective. You can say that the weather is nice, a restaurant is nice, Mr. So-and-so is nice, Mr. So-and-so's clothes are nice. You had a nice time, and all this will be very nice. You must decide about your accent. You will have your foreign accent, all right, but many people like to mix it with another accent. I knew a Polish Jew who had a strong Yiddish accent. People thought he was very interesting. The easiest way to show that you have a good accent or not foreign accent is to hold a pipe or cigar in your mouth, to speak through your teeth and finish all your sentence with the question, isn't it? People will not understand you, but they will think that you probably speak very good English. Many foreigners try hard to speak with an Oxford accent. The city of Oxford has a famous university. If you have an Oxford accent, people think that you meet with clever people and that you are very intelligent. But the Oxford accent hurts your throat and is hard to use all the time. Sometimes you can forget to use it. Speak with your foreign accent, and then where are you? People will laugh and at you. The best way to look clever is to use long words. Of course, those words are often old Latin and Greek words, which the English language has taken it. Many foreigners have learned Latin and Greek in school, and they found that 8. It is much easier to learn these words than the much shorter English words. B. These words are usually very long and make you seem very intelligent when you talk to Shakespeare and Postman. But be careful with all these long words. They do not always have the same meaning as the ones had in Latin or Greek. When you know all the long words, remember to learn some short ones too. Finally, there are two important things to remember. 1. Do not forget that it's much easier to write in English than to speak English because you can write without a foreign accent. 2. When a bus or in the street, it is better to speak quietly in good German than to show lolly and bad English. Anyway, all this language business is not easy. After 8 years in this country, a very kind woman told me the other day, you speak with a very good accent, but without any English. Hello. Hello. In Unit 7, I learned how to use the present simple. We use the present simple to describe daily routines and general facts. For example, I wake up at 7 a.m. every day. This is a routine. The structure is subject plus verb in form. For he, she, and it, we add s. For example, she works in an office. To make negatives, we use do not or doesn't not. For example, she doesn't work on Sundays. That's what I learned in Unit 7. Thanks. Okay, in Unit 8, I learned about the present perfect. We used to talk about experience or actions that happened on a specific time. The structure is have or has plus past participle. For example, I have visited Paris. She has finished her homeworks. In negative, we use haven't or hasn't. For example, I haven't seen that movie. We often use words like already, yet, and ever. That's what I learned in Unit 8. Thanks. In Unit 9, I learned about modal verbs, which express necessity, permission, obligation, and provision. Have to and need to show necessity. For example, I have to study for my exam. Must express a strong obligation, like the students must be quiet in the library. Don't have to means something is not necessary, while must not means something is provided. Can and may are used to give permission, but may is more formal. Thanks. In Unit 10, I learned about the passive voice in present and past. We use the passive when the action is more important than the person who is does it. The structure is be plus past participle. For example, coffee is grown in Brazil, and cars are made in Japan. In the past, we use was or were. For example, the house was built last year. Thanks. In Unit 11, I learned about powerful verbs and the second conditional. Powerful verbs are verbs with two words and different meanings. For example, give it up means quit. Break down means stop working, and give it up means recover. We also studied the second conditional. We used it for imaginary situation. The structure is if plus past simple will plus base verb. For example, if I have money, I will travel. Thanks. And finally, in Unit 12, I learned about reported speech. We use reported speech to say what another person said. Usually, the verb changed to a past form, present simple change to past simple. I like pizza. Becomes he say he liked pizza. Will change to will. Can change to cold. For commands, we use told plus person plus to plus verb. She told me to sit down. And this is what I learned from the units in this level.